Hi everybody, this is Robert Linkle, and this is Aging with Strength, episode number 12, Hip and Knee Health, how to learn and teach your body how to hip displace versus traditional squatting or kind of a regular squatting technique that we typically see with the average individual that doesn't really have the education or experience performing the movements correctly yet. You know me, I like my stats. So something that I want to address is that a little over 600,000 knee replacements are performed each year just in the United States alone. And a lot of the issues that come with that are improper techniques for picking things up and down off the ground, lunging, stepping, squatting, getting up off the floor. All these techniques add up as we perform these movements over and over and over again throughout our day in weeks and months and years that we are alive through the whole aging process. And then as we get older, the body starts to break down if we're not taking care of it. So you think of the millions, if not billions of movements that you're performing throughout your life, how many of them are we performing in technically sound positions? One of the bigger ones that we really address is just how people simply get up and down from seated positions and then how they pick things up and down off the floor. So what we want to talk about today is just some general tips and techniques to help you with your hips, with your knees specifically, something to address from where the seated positions are is what we refer to as hip displacement versus knee displacement. So a great way to address this, or a way to think about this, is when I go into a standing position. Okay, if I'm going to go into a seated position, or if I'm going to pick something up off the floor, the untrained individual, as I'll say, will think about keeping their body more vertical. So as they come down into their squat, they're trying to keep their torso a little bit more upright, so their knees start to drift, and then they're trying to pick up or address whatever it is they want off the floor. You can see how far forward my knees drifted here, and then how vertical I am in my torso. I'm not perfectly upright, where you see a lot of people with bad backs try to keep their torso almost perfectly straight. So the technique that we're going to try to work on here, and it's great for if you have kettlebells or a dumbbell or something like that that you're going to pick up, is to put the implement that you're practicing picking up right between your feet, literally right between your feet. And then you're going to displace your hips back as far as you can until you feel your hamstrings really kick in and start to stretch. From that angle, you'll start to lower your hips down and either pick up the implement you're going to pick up or have a seat in the chair that you're attempting to get down to. Another great way to practice this, something very simple. You've seen videos of me before where I'm using a hamper. You can use a trash can. You can use anything you want to teach you how to do this position correctly. Something in front, just in front of the toes, maybe an inch or two in front, but ideally it's right at your toe. And you want to just practice your getting up and getting down, utilizing your hips, reducing the pressure off of your knees, and then thinking about two things: pushing your knees out. We call this the hourglass. When you go to get up and down off of something, and as you go to stand up, your knees bow in, creating that hourglass there. So we're trying to avoid the hourglass, so anti-hourglass as you go seated. And then the second one is driving your heels down. Something that you can cue is like the earth as your leg press. I'm going to stay put, and I'm going to push the leg plate of the earth. I'm going to push my leg press down into the floor. And what that will do is it'll teach you to engage not only your quads, but your glutes and your hamstrings to help you drive yourself out of this position. So something you can practice, if you just watch my quad here as I go, I can practice engaging my quad, trying to get this muscle to stand up a little bit. And I can practice both of those as I push down, and I'm pushing that plate down. My knees are going to naturally come backwards when I do that. They're going to start to displace back as I'm pushing down on my heels. And then I'm going to anti-hourglass by pushing my feet out a little bit, keeping my head and chest up. Here I go. I'm going to push down, push my knees apart, drive my body up, return in the same fashion, just reverse it. Knees are apart, butt back, 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 and I reach back down to the box. Okay, here's one improperly, where I come down and my knees are doing too much. My knees will either hit the box or the whatever we're using here, our hamper, and it'll tell me right away if I'm getting in the right position as I sit down, I stand up, engaging my quads, pushing myself down every time, pushing down every time to get myself into that good glute quad dominant position. The basic exercise we work on in the gym is called a sit to stand. We will do this movement with a couple of options. We'll take a band, loop that band under our feet, hold the band in our hands so it's semi-tight. As we stand up, it gets much tighter. Up against that band, come back down, practice hip displacement. The band gives us a progressive load on the way up. As we get into a more efficient position to drive with weight, the band gets tighter. As we get down, or maybe a less efficient position or a weaker position, the band gets lighter. Once we get pretty good at that, we can hold a weight, kettlebell, dumbbell, sandbag, sandball, whatever you want, in what's called the goblet position here. Now, most people think that a goblet means a kettlebell. Goblet necessarily doesn't mean that you're using that, but that you're just holding weight at the chest in any different grip, okay, where you hold the kettlebell by the horns, horns up, horns down, a dumbbell goblet, a medicine ball goblet. You can hold a sandbag or a sand ball, hold in the Zercher position where you're hugging it to your chest, any kind of load, whatever implement we have, and then we're going to engage that weight, which stays the same load, 40 pounds, all the way up through my sit and to from my stand back to my seated position. Then, kind of the ultimate out of that is to put the two together. Put the band around the feet. The band then comes up and attaches to the dumbbell, kettlebell, whatever implement I'm using, and then I'm going to hug that to my chest. I now have the load that I can squat. I have the progressive load as I come up to really kick in as I'm going into my sit to stand. And I'm working on all my good postures, my engagement of my quads pushing down, my glutes helping me drive back up, all the while protecting my knees as I learn how to put myself in the proper standing position. Now, this can go into basic components like getting up and down out of the chair from your desk, you know, the living room table, or dining room table, etc. But some of the harder ones that we focus on, ones that we don't necessarily practice all that often, getting out of a booth when you're out dining, getting in and out of the car, okay? Getting in and out of lazy boys, chairs that are lower at the hip than they are at the knee level, and then they're really squishy or give or hard to get up and out of that position. So as far as our engagement goes of how to get our musculature to bite, I like that term, bite, like engage and help me. So I'm not using rocking momentum to help me get up and down. I'm using my muscles to drive me up and out of these positions. You can start on a regular old bench like this, maybe with a Airdyne pad or two above. And as you start to build your strength, start to increase your weight or your loads, start to lower your height as you can work yourself down to parallel or near parallel. And as long as you don't have any major physical limitations or any parts that aren't allowed to go that low, meaning knee replacement, hip replacement, etc., start to work lower than parallel and train your body to get up and out of those positions. We'll even train our clients to start in a sit to stand position, and they'll do one, a rep, sit to stand, move a foot out 2 or 3 inches, sit to stand, move a foot out, sit to stand, and now I'm worked out into a sumo squat position, but I'm working my feet at different angles, my hips at different angles, and I'm practicing getting myself in and out of the booth, in and out of the car, okay? These little tiny practices go a long way with what we do with our day-to-day with our clients, how they apply it to their life and what they're doing, hopefully teaching them to take good care of their major joints. All the joints are important, but especially the knees, the hips, lower back, shoulders. The wrists are a big one for us too. Two things that I'm just a little bit obsessed with right now is arthritis, really looking into more training components that we can do to help our clients overcome some of the limitations of arthritis. And then the second one is this posterior aspect of shoulder blade retraction, working on addressing that in almost every movement that we do with our clients. And that kind of overlaps and works down into the hinge as well. Same idea, posterior chain dominant, basically the 2 ball and socket joints, learning to be stronger on the backside of their body. So hopefully we see so many clients that are suffering from arthritic issues. The number of people with arthritis are just climbing and climbing each year. Or hopefully that these issues that we're addressing either are prolonging the long-term effects of arthritis, or hopefully preventing in the long run. But when you do at least 100 sit-to-stands on a daily basis, and we're performing each one toe dominant, valgus collapse or hourglassing, toes are doing all the work, my kneecap's helping me up, my back is so vertical, when I stand up and down, that my lumbar is taking a lot of the pressure, then those improper positions over and over again are going to accelerate that timeline. And that's something that, as a fitness professional and as the other fitness professionals on here joining us today are listening to this, that's our number one goal, is to slow that down, reduce it, get rid of it entirely. So hopefully you learned some good stuff here today. If so, leave me a comment down below. Please subscribe. Please share out. Love growing our numbers and getting more people to hear these messages. Any topics you want to hear about, please feel free to give me a shout out or give me a message and let me know, and I'll work it into our list. This is Aging with Strength, episode number 12, hip and knee health, learning how to hip displace versus regular knee squats, as we call them, or knee squatting techniques. Again, thank you for joining us. Have a great day. Take care of yourselves. We'll see you next time.